In the summer of 2003, a strange humanoid creature that was thought to be nothing more than an old tale was sighted in northeastern America. After an initial media frenzy, there was a news blackout and almost all of the accounts of the story were kept from the public. The only stories that were told were those that circulated online by the people affected. One in particular was especially unsettling. On the 4th of July 2003, Sue, her husband Bob, and their daughter Clara were asleep in their home in North America. At around 4 a.m, Sue woke up to find something sat at the foot of her bed. Initially, she thought it was a stray animal. However, when the creature moved and she saw its full appearance, she realised that this was no animal that she had ever seen before, and it did not belong in her house. After waking her husband, it fled from the room and down the hall, heading straight for their daughter's room. They chased it and entered the room, and as they turned on the lights, they saw the creature standing over and watching Clara. After turning and looking them dead in the eye, the ravaged creature ran down the stairs and disappeared into the night. Sue and Bob rushed over to their daughter, but she'd been attacked. She looked to her parents and said, "He's the Rake." They rushed her to hospital, but en route, the father lost control of the car and it plunged into the lake. Him and Clara were killed, but Sue managed to escape. After these tragic events, Sue became convinced that the Rake was somehow responsible for her family's death, and would not stop until she found out what was in her home that night. She was astonished to find so many people had been affected by similar stories of a dog-like humanoid who had entered their homes. Sue decided to set up a recorder beside her bed to see if the Rake returned when she was sleeping. She did this for many weeks, but nothing significant was caught. Then one night, she heard a voice that sounded strangely familiar. It came to her that this was the same sound she subconsciously heard that woke her up on that fateful night when the Rake first entered her family's house. It seemed the Rake had returned one more time. Sue did not see the Rake that night and has not been visited since, but is convinced the Rake is responsible for ruining her life and lives in fear of waking up only to see it has returned. She wants others to learn from her encounter and make sure they lock all their doors and windows, as this creature could do as much damage to others as it's done to her. All of the stories of people encountering this being are filled with emotion and terror, and whatever had disturbed them so much as to share their story is described the same in every account. Human-like with sharp teeth and claws that makes the sound of a wild animal, although has a hairless muscular body that is hunched and contorted in a disturbing way. It only appears at night and hides in people's homes, often standing at the end of their beds as they sleep, and flees as soon as the person wakes. Why it does this or where it comes from hasn't been discovered yet, although some believe it hides in dense forests. This came about when an image was taken by a man who left a cam in a forest in Louisiana. When he returned, the camera had been destroyed, however the memory card was intact and this image was recovered. After being featured on the news, it was a relief for those who had been visited by the Rake to know that a photo had been released that backed up their stories. Then, as the years went by, only a handful of encounters were reported, no more than 2 or 3 a year, around the United States. But in April of 2011, something very interesting happened. Whilst conducting a routine telescopic camera search of the sewers in Liverpool, the Northwest Water Company spotted something unusual lurking around down there on 3 separate occasions. Not only does this creature's appearance match the many previous sightings, but also suggests that the Rake may not be individual to the US and also resides in the United Kingdom. Is it one single creature that travels around that is responsible for the encounters that have taken place over the years, or are there more than one? Very little information is known about the Rake as it is not often seen, and as more people talk of it, the less common the sightings have become. Since its last encounter in the sewers in 2011, the Rake has not been seen since, leaving behind only the tales and the rare sightings of this mysterious being.